Hi everyone, I'm Hugo Liu. I'm the CEO of Orchestra, the best-in-class data pipeline management platform. And in this video, we're going to talk about how you can build the foundations for a knowledge base from your internal documentation using generative AI. This is a really game-changing use case because it's, often the way enterprises create their first AI application by ingesting unstructured data sources like internal documentation and, you know, using these to fine tune an LLM or prompt an LLM, you can quickly accelerate data discovery on that all too difficult to navigate documentation through some kind of chatbot interface. So in this example, we're going to use Confluence. So let's get cracking. Okay, so I'm here in Confluence, and this is a document that has some of our go-to-market notes in it. So as you can see, it's highly unstructured, but it's got a lot of interesting information. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this to essentially train our LLM. So the first thing to do is take this page ID, and then we can head over to VS Code. So the first thing we're going to do is write a bit of code to fetch the HTML from this page. So as you can see, we're going to get our page ID. We're going to authenticate using basic, so username, password. I obviously don't have mine here. And then we're going to go ahead and get a response. This API is pretty good. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to take some of the metadata as well. So the title of the page, the content and the version. And then we'll also store the raw text as a page data object. So I'm then putting this as a JSON and then printing out for myself. Now, this is where the really fun stuff happens. What we're going to do is we're going to essentially take GPT-2 from Hugging Face, which is a small model, and we're going to fine tune it on that data we've got. So the first thing to do is to instantiate two objects from Hugging Face. The first is a tokenizer, which is essentially going to allow us to change that JSON data into a format that the large language model can accept. The second is to create an instance of the model. So the third thing we do is we format the data. So in this case, I've got a class which is called sales dataset. This takes a tokenizer, takes in the JSON data, and it's actually designed such that if we wanted to have multiple examples, so you had multiple pages of data, you could tokenize all of them and store them in this self.examples object. Because we've got multiple examples, we then need to use this class from Hugging Face, which is called Data Collator for Language Modeling. And all that does is, data collators are objects that will form a batch by using a list of dataset elements as an input. So these elements are the same type as the elements of a sort of train data set or eval data set kind of object. The next step is to create a training arguments object. This is mainly sort of training parameters, fairly straightforward. And then the final thing is to create the trainer object. So this class is the thing that's actually going to train the model according to these parameters and with the data we put in here. Needless to say, you could put in very many Confluence pages here if you needed to do that. We then train it. We then save it, and we save the tokenizer. And this can now be used anywhere. So in a sort of production setting, you would probably have some kind of batch pipeline, that was fetching the Confluence pages, every day maybe. That was then fine-tuning the model every day as well. That process would then save the model to a model registry. And then, once you're happy with it, you should probably have some testing in the middle. You would obviously serve that model in some kind of API or application. So in this case, I've got what are the top 5 sales priorities, but then I've also had this other file, which is doing some kind of ad hoc questions. And as you can see, if I run this file, I'm going to ask the model, what are the features to highlight from the data you were shown? And we'll see that apparently the main features that we're focusing on here at Orchestra are version control, rolling back pipelines, templating pipelines, easy production of pipelines, and RBAC, so role-based access control. Cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is, in this video, we've basically shown how you can leverage the Confluence API, the Transformers library from Hugging Face and GPT-2 to fine-tune a model on a piece of Confluence data. We saw how based off that, you're easily able to create a sort of knowledge base that anybody can query. And then the next step would obviously be to run this system in production and serve the model. So that's definitely a topic for another video. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Otherwise, happy training.